week we get together and we try to figure out whether or not the marketing hype actually is met by what's actually going on the ground. This week for Miami's On Fire, we're going to be talking about, can artists make it in Miami, or is it simply just a silver spoon type of situation? I'm Peter Zalewski, condo consultant, expert witness, founder of MiamiCondo.Club. I'm joined here by my partner, my co-host, Oscar Musibay. He is an office real estate agent working at Lee and Associates.
Yes.
Oscar, why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest?
Well, Oscar Fuentes is not only a great artist and writer and performer, he's also a good friend of mine. I've known him for many years. We met in Edgewater when Edgewater was actually basically a single family home and maybe small apartment building, 3-story level kind of place. Now it's got towers that are 40 stories, and higher, and it's become a very different kind of community for everyone that lives here. And Oscar has been through that entire transition. In fact, his name is the Biscayne Poet, and that is because he is associated and writes so much about Biscayne. Can you imagine that? I mean, Miami being so diverse, and he focused on Biscayne Boulevard before anybody else.
Whoa, hold on, Oscar. I got to jump in here.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
All right. You focus on Biscayne Boulevard. Listen, I got here in 1993. Biscayne Boulevard was known for women turning tricks. There was a guy who was playing the Super Bowl for Atlanta Falcons. The night before the Super Bowl, he got busted in a John ring, got arrested, was not able to participate in the game. As the development came around, everything got pushed north. Then it went to 79th Street. There was a lot of running jokes. So when you came up with the name, the Biscayne Poet, was it linked towards what it used to be, or was it linked towards where we are today? Give us some color.
The Biscayne Poet was actually, I was baptized with the name, right? My friends were introducing me at different open mic poetry events. And after going to those so many times, they said, hey, put your hands together for the Biscayne Poet. A friend of mine said, and then it stuck.
It was tongue in cheek, or it was sincere when he said it?
I would say sincere. Okay. I took advantage of that beautiful name and I stuck with it. I think I was already writing about the region, the local area, the different characters. Miami for Biscayne Boulevard for me is a character, and I use Biscayne for inspiration. Biscayne, I used to live in a rundown building off of Biscayne and 33rd Street.
Nice.
Right. And when I moved in there, it was a rundown building, but it was okay. I lived on the second floor. The landlord let me stay in there as long as I was able to maybe fix some things in the apartment. And so I put in a vinyl floor. I was able to fix a few things in there. And after half a year of living in there and smelling barbecue, I was supposed to more barbecue every day. I'm like, oh, who's cooking in here? I realized that some of those prostitutes that were walking Biscayne Boulevard also lived in that building.
Nice.
And then I also realized that the pimp also lived in there as well. But then when I looked at the pimp's face, I'm like, wait a minute, I think I know this guy.
No.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't Oscar Musibay. No. It was.
No, his territory is a little bit further north.
It happened to be a waiter off of the Denny's on Biscayne and 36.
The former Denny's.
The former Denny's.
They're tearing it down.
Yeah,
they're putting up some nondescript, generic.
So imagine the
tower.
history.
Wow.
And the historical conversations that must have happened in that diner. Nice people. I never had any issues with them, But one day after coming home from work, I looked at through the back window and I noticed a chimney full of smoke. And I'm like, what is this? So I went around the building, I went around the block, and I realized it was a crematorium. Van Orsdale crematorium.
Yes.
Off of Biscayne and 33rd, 34th.
Yeah.
And
on the west side.
On the west side.
Yeah.
And so
by where the train tracks are, there's
right
a Domino's Pizza and all that. Yep.
Exactly there. And so all the dust on my windowsill was no dust. And all the barbecue smell that ran through the hallways of the building was no barbecue. And so my story, Biscayne Inferno and Body Furnace came from there, featured in my one of my new books, Biscayne Inferno.
Yes. Can you show that to the camera so they can see it?
Yeah, Biscayne Inferno, a collection of short stories, and all these are stories based on what I lived off of Biscayne, pretty much.
Give us the era, like around what
This
years?
is 2003.
So it was still pretty sketchy.
It was pretty, yeah.
And if you drove down the street, you'd have 100 cars parked outside. Everybody was parked up on the lawn because the streets were too narrow.
Yeah.
2-story buildings,
Yeah.
chickens everywhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes a couple wild dogs wandering around.
Yeah.
The streets ended. You turn off Biscayne Boulevard if you're going towards the bay. It would just end. You had to figure out how to get out. Guys out there
Yeah.
fishing, maybe throwing them back, drinking, or doing whatever they're going to do.
So,
it was a rough area.
Yeah, something strange too. I was writing love poems to death, back in those days.
Death.
Yeah.
Was that a girlfriend or a stripper?
Lady
or?
Death.
Okay,
Lady
okay,
Death,
okay.
and I wrote a poem called Biscayne Blues. And it's about a poet with his bandmates. He decides to drive his classic 1974 Dodge Dart off the Rickenbacker Bridge into Biscayne Bay just to meet the water nymphs that were living there, the voices that the poet would hear that would inspire all these poems. And then he comes out on the other side, right? And Oscar is no longer Oscar. Oscar is an invisible form, that only his friends see, and so it inspired poetry, right? So these characters, these realities of Biscayne Boulevard, were great materials for me to write about. I also wrote about the killer clown. There was some kind of murder on Biscayne Boulevard, and I remember hearing about it, and I wrote about the killer clown. Juggling, hypnotizing the prostitutes on Biscayne. I mean, it's,
This is the history that a lot of people who've come down here, especially since 2021, during the pandemic, they're not even aware of what Biscayne Boulevard's reputation was. And Oscar's going to take over and ask some nonsensical question. But let me ask you one thing. What is your opinion of Broward County? Because as soon as you take Biscayne Boulevard, you go over that Broward County line, it's not Biscayne anymore. No. It is federal highway. Do you have a message for the Browardites?
It's not as fancy as people think. There's some great diners over there.
But the name of the street, how do they just rip it away from you?
Yeah, I know. It's still Biscayne.
Still Biscayne.
Biscayne is not a name. Biscayne is a feeling. You can remove yourself from Biscayne Boulevard, but you have Biscayne in your heart. And wherever you go, it's it's that neon light, the bluesy feeling. That greasy burger. That diner that's no longer there. That's Biscayne Boulevard.
The SNS Diner.
The
That's
SNS.
right.
The SNS Diner.
And if anybody doesn't remember that SNS Diner, it was like it was like a horseshoe.
Yeah.
You walk in there was a couple people in the back. What did they serve? Only breakfast and lunch or something?
Pretty much everything.
But it went all night or went to like 6 o'clock?
I don't know how late they went.
Yeah.
And then some intelligent real estate developer buys it. He's going to build something. Never did a thing.
Never did a thing.
It's still basically.
And then the wait staff, if you remember, I think, they went ahead and they leased right on Biscayne Boulevard, not far from where you were.
Yeah.
They had some place for temporarily. It never made it.
And I think some of those waitresses still work off of Biscayne at the Jimmy's Diner. And Jimmy's Diner, you can still meet some of those.
Oh, look at that.
It's just south of 79th Street on the east side.
That's interesting.
It's interesting, too, because if you take it to Tobacco Road, they go ahead, they shut down Tobacco Road, somebody's going to build something. Nothing happened. They steal away all of these gems, these jewels, in anticipation of some new development, whether it's SNS Diner, it's Tobacco Road, and nothing ever it doesn't get built on there. How does that sort of resonate with you as somebody who really is looking back and reflecting on what Miami was versus kind of the glossy version today with the vanity that his brethren loves? Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook.
My golf buddies.
Alex Karp from Palantir, Ken Griffin. He loves all this new development. I like your version of Miami preferably.
Well, I think the Biscayne Boulevard, Miami, they represent life. Nothing is permanent. Everything is constantly changing. And I make a case in my new book, Geography of Light, that permanence is an illusion. But to stay present really is what matters.
Is that like Buddhist or? Is that like a religious tone or?
No, my dad has Alzheimer's. And so, as memory fades, love becomes stronger. And I think permanence is really, permanent things don't last.
Kind of like hair.
Yeah, kind of like hair. Exactly.
Speaking of hair,
Yeah.
see, I'm so glad that Peter only had one more question because otherwise you and I would not be able to say anything to each other. But talking about your new book, Geography of Light,
Yeah.
tell us a little about your process and how that works. I mean, I think it's, being an artist is a mysterious situation because you're constantly getting information and ideas. How does that work when you come up with an idea? You're a family man, you have a full-time job, you do all this work on the side as well as a professional artist. How do you figure out to make time to be able to write a book like this?
Yeah, well, almost all the books that I've written were just life experiences, right? Right now, my latest Geography of Light, I wrote it was conceptualized driving across Biscayne Boulevard, driving across the Everglades to visit my parents, and I would
Miami Trail or Alligator. I was gonna say Alcatraz. We don't talk about Alligator Alley.
No, 75, cross 75, and I would drive in the afternoons, sunset, the sun hitting my face, and I realized that I needed to be the light. I needed to become the light, just like the sun hitting my face, to meet my mother and inspire her that she was not alone, and that we are all the light, like the warmth, the love that we need for each other, and the geography, because our relationships are geographies. We have this compass and this this natural GPS that tells us what we should do. And in my case, taking care of my parents, for example, helping them, and just being there being present with them. Being present is a choice, and so that was a choice that I learned as a child. Pretty much, we grew up loving our parents, and just knowing that, So yeah, Geography of Light. Love, family, work. Also, you mentioned about the library. Working full time at the library as the art curator, and being a poet, they both come from the same place. When you're a poet, you're trying to preserve, some kind of historical part of yourself and of your surroundings by writing it down, by documenting. And I think what I do at the library is the same, but it spills over onto my artistic career, writing these stories down. People that read it that have no connection to Miami, they feel that they're learning something that they didn't know about the area,
Right.
and they can actually drive to those places and see them there.
I think also as the curator for the library, the art curator, what many people don't know if they're not going to the library on a regular basis is that the library is actually one of the largest, when you put it all together, one of the largest galleries, free galleries available. Any part of Miami-Dade County has this amazing art that is original, that is owned by the library, and that you're responsible for. That means you're hanging art, often by yourself, in these spaces that if you walk around, you take the time to walk around. Most people now, they're just on Amazon and all this trying to figure out how to get books. But if you walk around, you can see amazing original pieces that artists devoted their time to, put their passion into. Can you describe that process, how you choose the art that's going to go into these spaces?
Well, most of the art, so there's about 8,000 works of art in the library's permanent art collection.
So Miami-Dade County has a portfolio of 8,000 pieces.
Well, the Miami-Dade Public Library.
The public library right.
does
8,000 pieces.
About 8,000.
Has there ever been any kind of valuation as to what this stuff is worth? Can they borrow against it, for instance? Can they?
So it's value. It has a lot of historical value.
Okay.
Right. So the collection is a visual narrative of Miami's story. So imagine anything that happened. The Mariel boat lift, the
Elian Gonzalez.
So all
the Haitian boat movement.
Yeah.
All
so that is documented in art, through art.
That's fantastic.
Photography, paintings, performative art that became a painting.
That's what the Caribbean Marketplace was at some point.
Yeah.
Up there in Little Haiti.
Yeah. And so we're trying to create a boutique gallery experience where people visit a local library. You walk in for a book, but you look around and you see art that represents the community that surrounds that branch. So the art also creates a sense of representation for a child. For a teenager goes in, oh, wait a minute, a Venezuelan artist? I'm from Venezuela.
That is awesome. awesome.
And I can also, and so they start investigating. They get curious, and then they do the research, and they find that this art is part of the library's collection, and they can request to see a piece in person or request a tour, and that's what we're there for.
And I think also, this is normally in our show, we have a hack where we're talking about things that are inexpensive for people to go and enjoy in Miami, since Miami can be so expensive. And one of the things that I think is so unusual about what you do is you host artists who come and teach classes, a lot of the time to kids for free. I mean, they're accessing it for free, and they get to see these original pieces. Like you had a gentleman a couple of years ago who was one of the most refined artists, Hispanic artists that is working today, and he was able to engage with the kids. My son went and really enjoyed that program and was able to make his own art using the style of this particular gentleman. Do you remember that?
But to clarify before you answer that, we're talking about Miami-Dade County Library, or
That's
what
right.
he's doing
The
personally?
library. No.
All right, so we're in the library
Yeah.
track. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Oscar. Your questions are all over the place.
Yeah, you're right, Oscar. I mean, it's a great, there's over 100 programs at the library a week for all ages.
How many branches? I mean, quantify
50
this.
Can he finish
But
saying his
you're talking
statement?
philosophically.
There's-
Give us something hard that we can understand.
Give me a break.
There's 50 buildings,
50, 8,000 pieces of art
8,000, and there's about 3,500 items on display in public walls
all the time.
all the time.
See, Oscar, that wasn't that hard.
Oh my God.
And within those 50 buildings,
Yes.
6 of those branches have galleries, and those galleries rotate every 3 months. So we have about 20 temporary shows a
Yeah.
year.
Wow.
And
Who sets the theme? You do.
I mean, artists that are interested, they send us an exhibition proposal. Every fall, our exhibition committee reviews the proposals. We accept artists for the following fiscal year, and that's how we end up scheduling exhibitions.
That's brilliant.
And it's I don't know of any other public library system in the country that is so connected to the history of the city like the way the Miami-Dade Public Library.
So getting
is.
back to the question that I asked before Peter interrupted. So the program that you do with artists who come in and
With 50
actually
buildings,
work with kids,
3,500 to 3,800
work
units.
with kids and actually enable them to feel confident and happy and excited about making art.
Yeah.
How does that work? And can you name some of the artists that you worked with?
Well, there's so many of them. One of them is Kiki Valdez, a local artist who graduated from New World School of the Arts.
Yeah.
Luis Valle, who's a local muralist
Valle.
and graffiti artist.
Yes.
But these artists, we work with them. There's one program that I want to give an example. It's called Bridging Generations, and we identified 2 demographics: the elderly, the senior citizens,
He's looking at you, Oscar.
and the
He's
teenagers.
definitely looking at you, and he's looking at me
And the
when he says teenager.
Yeah,
And so
I think it's
these
you.
are 2 groups that are pretty much almost neglected in our society,
Right.
or maybe misunderstood. And so we thought, let's put together in our class and bring them around the same table.
That's awesome.
With a list of questions to spark a conversation. And let me tell you, the magic that we witnessed there with that program was
Incredible.
amazing, incredible.
And it's all free
It-
for
all
the public.
free. Every program
They
at the
can attend.
library is
All that
free.
information is online.
Yeah.
So you look at the calendar
Yeah.
and you can find anything.
MDPLS.org.
Incredible.
You got to say it a little bit slower.
MDPLS.org.
Right, which stands for Miami-Dade Public Library System.
Library System. Yeah.
You got to
So
put the S in there for sure.
You
otherwise-
have to. So the aspect of your library, job and everything that you put into that, and then you have this writing program, but you also have a performing aspect to your business and your art and your lifestyle.
hold on. He's saying performing. We were just talking about Biscayne Boulevard. You're the Biscayne Poet. How are you performing?
Here we go.
Well, everything is a performance, right?
Yes. But it doesn't involve a pole.
No.
Okay. Just make it. And does it involve OnlyFans?
Yeah, that's
No.
Peter's
Okay,
favorite question.
I want to try to clear it. Oscar's got these wide open questions. All right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
thank you for making that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making it easier. Yeah, bringing that into it. Yes.
So the performance active. I mean, I have a jazz trio,
Yep.
friends that are jazz musicians, and so I try to perform my poetry with live music, right?
Yep.
Because music really creates a very interesting extension to the poetry. There's also when I type poetry for the public, when I improvise a poem.
You probably should explain what that is, because our demographic is, well, they tune in for me. It's a lot of Gen Z. We get the later stage of the millennials.
Yeah, right.
They don't know what the heck that thing is. What is that thing?
This is a typewriter.
Typewriter.
Right? Yeah, where you type and you write.
Can you speak to it? Can I say, "Hey Google" or "Hey Siri"?
You can.
Is it automatically going to type?
No, it's not.
Oh, interesting.
But you can talk to it.
Yeah.
I do always try to say thank you to her.
Yes.
My Olympia. She's been so good to me. I've written hundreds of poems on this one. So with this, I do a performative aspect of writing, which is where I ask the public for their name and 3 words that describe how they feel or how they want to feel, and with that, I improvise a poem on the spot.
So effectively, you're almost like a rapper.
Almost like a rapper. Yeah. But I think the difference, I mean, it depends how good of a rapper you are, but the difference between rapping and this is that I think with this you have a little more time to think about what you
don't have to maintain a beat either.
No, you don't have to
rhythm.
maintain a beat. Exactly. I think rappers are extremely talented, and hats off to them.
You got the hat, take the hat off.
Take it off.
Hats off to them.
That's
It's this is a bridge between me and my community. People, I've learned from many years of writing for different strangers, is that people are looking to be validated, to be seen, to be heard. So the 3 words are very revealing. People tell me how they're feeling, what they're going through,
With 3 words.
What they need, what's happening to them. And my job as a poet is to make them feel better. I feel, at least for me, words of kindness. I'm never going to write something that's mean to anyone, and love. As cheesy or cliche as it sounds, we're all in need of that, love validation.
Do you find that challenging now? And given the current climate we're in, there was just an announcement today by the Supreme Court. A lot of people who are here in Miami under temporary protective status,
Yep.
they're all going to basically be hauled off and disappeared or whatever they're going to do. How do you find the energy? How do you find the optimism? How do you find the, I guess, bullishness to be able to be positive in a climate where, depending on who you are, now certain people, they're investing on Wall Street, and they're investing in tech stocks. They're making a bundle. But you got other people who are basically foregoing this to pay for that, and now we get this. And it's not about the policies of the immigration. It's about the fact that some of these people have been here a long, long, long time. They're intertwined, integrated, involved, supporting the community. Now, basically, they're saying, pack your stuff and leave. How do you find optimism in a situation like that?
It's extremely difficult. I mean, it's heartbreaking, being an immigrant myself, born in New York to immigrant parents from Honduras. It's the difficult thing that's happening. I think as an artist, I'm here to also create a cushion between the punch and the body, and also to call it how it is. There is a political Alzheimer's lurking underneath our dinner table, right? This political conversation that's dividing families and friends.
Yes.
This political difference gets in the way of having real conversations with people we love. And I think poetry reminds us that we need to talk about our family. We need to, talk to our kids and listen to the ones we love, because there's a lot of distraction right now. What's happening right now is also an inevitable current. I mean, how can we navigate through this current without drowning, without getting, pulled in, or how can we support our friends that are going to be affected by this somehow? I mean, by being present, going back to being present, paying attention, to what's happening, and permanence is an illusion. Nothing is permanent.
So well said.
But-
And in your book, talk about timing. Geography of light.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, if it's art. That's why I think art heals, right? Art, poetry heals. Listening is also a form of art. A lot of people don't know how to listen.
See that, Oscar? He's looking at you again. He's talking about listening. Man, you never listen. You're always thinking about the next question.
Is that right?
You're
Is that
always
how it
thinking
works?
about the next question.
All right, enough talking, Peter. Let the man finish his statement. My God.
No, that's what I mean. Art, poetry, the art that I bring, to the table. It's a typewriter. It's a moment to stop and listen, and maybe forget about the pain, and let the poet kind of give you some words of comfort, I guess. So it's what we are.
So, talking about you as a businessman, you're a successful businessman. You have all these things that are happening, and people often, you can find a poetry event in Miami almost anywhere. But the thing that I think is very unique about you is that you've turned it into a kind of national footprint for you, right? So you travel to different parts of the country. I don't know if you've traveled outside the U.S. for work. Can you talk about how that works and how people can find you?
Yeah. Well, it is a business. It's the Biscayne Poet LLC.
Look at that.
And,
Well done.
And with that, I'm able to also work with other poets to also train other poets on typewriter writing, and create a team, a team of poets that were able to, to tackle different events, at the same time.
But walk us through, because he's talking about the business side.
Yeah.
So basically, you go somewhere, you perform, people come to see you, much like they would a comedian, a singer, whatever, and you give them that moment for which they're either buying drinks, they're paying admission, they're paying a cover, and that's kind of how it works. So you're really the draw, you're the attraction.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting married, for example, you're having a wedding, you hire the Biscayne Poet to write poems for the entire for your guest list.
Interesting.
If you run a law firm and you want to give your lawyers something different that is not what they do every day, and then you hire the Biscayne Poet to create a retreat, a program, a poetry workshop, a performance with a jazz group, something that is so foreign from what they do every day. So this is what the Biscayne Poet does, and it brings this to to your event, to your personal circle.
I'm gonna ask a question that and this is being asked respectfully.
Mm-hmm.
Are poets the OG of influencers? Poetry is short, it's put together, it conveys a thought, and it has a lasting impression. Isn't that really what influencers are doing? They got a 30-second spot on TikTok or Instagram or whatever the heck Oscar's watching. Isn't it kind of one and the same?
Yeah, poetry's getting there. Poetry is definitely.
But aren't they ripping off poetry? I mean, because you have a typewriter.
I don't think it's the same thing.
We're an influencer.
Yeah.
They're hitting you with a 30-second clip.
Yeah.
People are taking it and they're moving on. How long does it take to read a poem? It takes a minute or two.
Yeah,
No?
I mean the difference is that people get to take this poem home.
Yeah.
Right.
They take it home.
Put it on the wall.
It's something that froze that moment for them, and I've met people that carry my poetry for 14, 15 years
Really?
in their wallet.
Why don't they just take a photograph?
They don't, because it means something to them,
Interesting. So the hard copy, the document is much more impressionable, and it has that much of an impact rather than simply watching a 30-second video clip.
Yeah, because it's almost like carrying a personalized letter, to that version of themselves that received it at that time.
They say Gen Z is going back to what Gen X used to do. They want to be able to touch it, feel it, all that type of stuff. They're kind of moving away from it. So that sounds like a growing opportunity for you.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I'm not just, I mean, there's other poets that do typewriter poetry, and they're all great. They're all friends of mine. But they are not the Biscayne Poet.
They are not the Biscayne Poet.
That's it. And I'm also interested in some of the places that you've done this, right? Because you traveled to Vegas, You've traveled to other places. Can you talk a little?
He can't talk about Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
All right.
He can't say anything about that.
Can you talk about Vegas and some of the things
They probably make him sign NDAs. Anywhere he goes, they're like, if you go to a wedding.
He's so conspiratorial, man. He thinks we can land on the moon.
What are you talking about?
Well,
I mean, maybe he's doing your Taylor Swift. She's getting married.
That's right.
Maybe he's going to be doing a poem up there. You know Taylor Swift and
it's
Kelsey.
Possible.
Kelsey.
And
they were going to make him sign an NDA.
He was on the Housewives show, weren't you?
You were on the Housewives show?
I was.
Which one? Miami, Atlanta?
Miami.
Miami.
Yeah.
What are you going on that Paradise Island or something? What's the one that they're all talking about the dating?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, Peter's obsessed with that type of content, boy. He can't stop.
You're the one who brings up the Housewives. I didn't even know anything about the Housewives.
So getting back to reality, back to Earth.
So the poetry was featured in Bravo's Miami's Desperate Housewives.
That's it.
And
that's why you were watching it.
I mean it's a unique thing, right? I mean, who doesn't want a typewriter poet in their program? But it's I mean, nationally, I've been hired to take this typewriter on the road. I've done weddings in Colorado. I've done programs in Brooklyn. I've done one of my clients in Vegas. I go there every year.
It's a conference.
It's a conference.
That's right.
The Women in DSO is called.
Women in DSO?
DSO. It's a dental conference.
So they put on a dental conference.
Yeah.
And they're bringing you.
Me and many other artists. But I'm one
at
of
the conference center. So you walk around and when you're seeing the tables of new instruments and how to fix cavities.
Yeah, and then there's a section where all the dentists can get glammed up with like a makeup artist or the photo shoot. And then there's a poet. A poet can write them a personalized poem.
That's right.
And then that's where I am.
Right.
With my, I bring my my like 13 of my typewriters and I set them up on a shelf and I create a.
Are you sponsored? Are you getting a typewriting company, a manufacturer of typewriters actually sponsored? They ought to come out with a Biscayne Poet line of typewriters. You can sell the ribbon. Any of you younger people, they had something called liquid paper back in the day. If you don't know what it is, ask AI or ask your parents.
Ask Peter. Yes.
Ask me. I read about it. What are you talking about?
You got to go to the retirement home though with Peter because he's getting up there.
That is your next line. We need a Biscayne Poet.
Yeah.
Line or series of typewriters.
We do. Right next to where it says Olympia.
Yes.
We can
What's your name?
The Biscayne Poet.
Officially approved by the Biscayne Poet.
There you go.
Yeah, I love that, Peter.
So he's going to expect 20%.
No, I'm not expecting anything.
I'm just telling you. So we're going to close up, and before we do that, I want people to know that they can actually see.
Time out.
See, hold on.
We're closing up, but he just said you take 3 words, he can write a poem.
Hold on.
Let's have him write the poem.
Okay, before we get there, let's do one more promo here. So once a month, you're at Books and Books in Coconut Grove.
The Grove, okay.
So if you want to see...
Every third Thursday, I'm there doing a poetry program.
Right on Main Highway?
Yep. So it's an open mic program. So we welcome all poets from all different levels. And if you're not a poet and you just love poetry, you can just show up.
Is it the same day of the week once a month, or does it alter?
Yeah, every third Thursday.
Third Thursday of the month you're there.
Yep. Books and Books in Coconut Grove.
On the second floor.
Yep.
It's an amazing experience. Have you
had the banh mi or no?
Yes, I have. Many. Yeah.
They say the banh mi in that place is supposed to be spectacular.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Delicious sandwich.
Yeah.
Delicious sandwich.
So, as Peter was saying, as he was interrupting, as he usually does.
I never interrupt. What are you talking about?
Let's talk about 3 words.
Yep.
And I'm going to let my colleague here give those 3 words so that you can do your magic here right in front of our cameras.
Yes.
Well, why don't we have the 3 words related to Miami's on Fire?
Oh, God.
All right, so I got 3 words for you.
Here we go.
So name in 3 words.
Okay.
Name, so Miami's on Fire would be a name.
Miami's on Fire.
Miami is on fire.
No, Miami's
spelled Miamees, MEES, on fire.
Oh,
it's phonetic.
Liquid paper.
Matter.
Pull out the liquid paper.
It doesn't matter.
All right, so we got 3 words. You came up with a name, so I'll throw out a word.
All right, go ahead.
Mango season.
All right.
Mango.
Yeah. Ocean.
Ocean.
Yeah. You're the last one. Go ahead.
You got to go with Grant Miller.
Oh.
who's one of the co-publishers here.
In South Miami at the community headquarters, community news headquarters, which is where we're fortunate enough to film.
There's an item on the Our Betters, which is a hot dog joint. Right. There's an item in the kids menu called the Grant Miller. It's a little bit, it's kind of
spicy.
A little spicy.
Just like Grant. So Oscar is doing his magic here. He's going to create an original artwork that we can put on our wall in our grand office that we don't have, which we should have. And if you need an office, call me at Lee & Associates. My phone number is on there. Just give me a call. I'm happy to help.
I love the sound of the typewriter.
It's incredible.
It takes you back to the newsroom days.
That's right. When Peter was able to sleep in the newsroom while I was working, hitting the street.
Well, listen, when you think of a typewriter in a newsroom, you also think about cigarettes, and you think about people who have like a little bottle in the back, little flask.
That's it.
Not that anybody here
would have done that.
That would have done it here in South Miami at the headquarters of Miami Community News. That's very, very, very old school.
Yeah,
then you had the wire service, and then you had the photography room. Mm-hmm. The photographer would take the shots. They go in there. There's a dark room.
Yeah.
They would run it through the chemicals. The photos would be hanging from like a dryer line.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, a newsroom was really a fascinating type of place.
It was a lot of fun.
Today you go to Starbucks and the most exciting thing is you smell the coffee and you get to hear everybody's name.
It's true.
I
remember there were so many people in that Miami Herald newsroom downtown in this beautiful building with terrazzo floors.
Great
and the
real estate location. Yep. Why they put reporters there, I have no clue. But
yeah, it was amazing. Well, it was part of the commitment that the owners had to downtown Miami and Edgewater, that area, which is, also called Omni by some. And you would go down there, and it was just row after row of desks and reporters working, and you can hear the typing, or you can hear, over time it became computers. You could still hear the typing, though. And it was an amazing experience because on another floor, above or below the reporters, I can't remember which one, were the presses. So you can actually go there and see the newspapers being created, being manufactured at the Herald headquarters.
And the smell of the ink too. If you never smelled the ink when they're running the presses, absolutely. And then ultimately they bundle them together. Then you have the people, they throw them in the back of the trucks that were going to go out and dump them wherever they were going to dump them.
I mean, that was one of the most incredible experiences as a reporter, was to go down to the headquarters and see the grandeur of that building. Did you ever get down there?
Yeah.
It was incredible because the windows were so high.
Yes.
You had all this natural light.
The views were spectacular.
Right on Biscayne Bay. And it was incredible. It was just such an amazing
But the best part of journalism ties into the Biscayne Poet, because it was the places people went to drink.
Yeah.
After
at Mike's.
Mike's, or you had the 1800 Club. There's another place called Barbary Coast.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit more sketchy.
Dicey.
Yeah, definitely dicey. But that was part of the whole journalism experience, which I think we've lost for the most part. Now they're out in Durrell. I mean, you can do stuff in Durrell, but
it's not the same.
It's not the same aspect of it.
Yeah. But I think you have something for us.
He's done it already.
Look at that,
he's done it already. Can you believe it?
A short poem titled Miami's on Fire. Surrounded by mangoes, surrounded by the beauty that defines his energetic spirit. Just minutes away from the ocean, he jogs and daydreams of a better Miami's on Fire team. But he's stuck with these two superstars. OG Grant Miller, he is the open door and the open window to these community news. What a vibe. What a man. What a guy.
Look at that.
Wow.
Good job. Amazing.
For hire. Anybody doing an event, especially if you're in the dental industry.
That's it.
For hire.
That's right.
Wow.
Incredible.
Well done. Very impressive.
Very
Much more insightful than the guy next to me. Let me tell you. Oscar didn't know anything compared to you.
I do not. And I'm proud of it. Yes. So thank you so much for coming today. It has been our pleasure to host Oscar Fuentes, learn more about his art and his business, which is really interesting. And we encourage you today to reach out to Community News and find out how your business can be featured on our show or their advertising. Go to their breakfast. You meet some of the most important, interesting people in Miami. And we are part of this fabric that makes Miami so special, so important to everyone who's here. And please be kind to each other. Reach out to your friends and family, because these are difficult days, we want to understand that our community is made up of a lot of people: Haitians, Venezuelans, Cubans, Nicaraguans, locals that have been here for generations, and we all have to come together and help each other, right?
And if you need that geography of light,
That's it.
third Thursday every month, Coconut Grove, Books and Books right there on Main Highway next to Bodega. So if you went out boozing Wednesday night at Bodega, follow it up with more of a calmer and insightful, exciting day on Thursday.
Exactly. So thank you. We'll see you in a week. And we're excited about all the possibilities of Miami. Miami's on fire, as people like to say. Am I right? Yes. Have a great weekend.